أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن عليًا ولي الله. أشهد أن عليًا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. وصلى اللهم على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين، ولعنة الله على أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد. Dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Over the last few weeks, we have been talking about different aspects of the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam with regard to our relationship to the worldly possessions and blessings that Allah has given us. How to think of our money, our assets, our ability to earn our livelihood, and how to see that not as separate from our worship and devotion to God, but as part of our relationship and our responsibility to our Creator. Because we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to separate us from the world, and instead we worship Him because He is the creator and the sustainer of this world. When we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it makes us more connected to nature, because nature is one expression of the wisdom and the power and the beauty of Allah. When we worship Allah, it brings us closer to our fellow human beings, even those who are not Muslim, because humanity is an expression of God's infinite wisdom and beauty in His creation. When we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it makes us more appreciative of the importance of the resources, the assets, the material blessings that He has created for us to use in order to obey Him, in order to support and establish justice, in order to model good and moderate living for humanity. So our worship of Allah brings us closer to God's creation, because it is the creation and the manifestation of the power and the wisdom and the infinite beauty of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in all of His attributes. And this is reflected in a hadith attributed to our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala. It is said that a person came to our sixth Imam and he said, بلغني أن الاقتصاد والتدبير في المعيشة نصف الكسب. I have heard it said that for a person to be moderate and to be a good planner and budgeter in their livelihood, that is half of earning an income and being responsible with one's money. So normally we think of what we earn as our income. And this person came to the Imam and said, I have heard it, presumably a hadith from one of the Imams or a hadith from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, that it's not only your income that determines your kasb and your earning in a real sense, but also how well you plan and how well you budget. There are many people who have a small income, but they are able to live an independent and a dignified life because they plan their expenses. And then there are many people with a very high income, but they are in debt and they may be living day to day or week to week because they don't keep track of what their needs are and what their wants are. Maybe they waste money by spending things on impulse purchases. Maybe they waste money by spending more than they need to spend. If they had planned and if they had been ready for their expenses, they could have saved money, but because they do everything at the last minute, or they do everything without planning, or they do everything without consultation, then they are always paying double or paying more than they otherwise would need to. Sometimes it's not that they are paying too much or that they are being wasteful in what they purchase, but they may be wasteful in how they take care of their things. If I don't properly take care of what Allah has given me, then I will lose things. I may destroy things by leaving them out, for example, in the rain. They get destroyed or rusty or disintegrate, and that also will be a waste. So it is not just how much we can acquire, but also how well we are able to manage and take care of what we have acquired that determines our true earnings. If I earn an extra $100, but then through my lack of planning, I am spending an extra $100 that I don't need to spend. I shouldn't be happy that while my earnings have gone up. In a real sense, they haven't gone up. So half of it is increasing one's ability, alaykum assalam, to earn, and half of it is increasing one's planning. This person came to our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam, and he came to the Imam, for those who are just joining. He said to the Imam, بلغني أن الاقتصاد والتدبير في المعيشة نصف الكسب. Half of your earning is how well you take care of your possessions, how responsibly you plan for your expenses. And the response of our Imam is interesting. First, he corrected that person's understanding of the religious principle involved, and then the Imam emphasized that this is tied not just to being a good, responsible planner as a consumer or as an economic being, but also as a Muslim. The Imam says, فَقَالَ أَبُو عَبْدِ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ لَا بَلْ هُوَ الْكَسْبُ كُلُّهُ. Your entire kasb is your iqtisad and tadbir. Being moderate and being a good planner is not just half of the story. It is the entire story, because in reality, how much you can earn is also going to be determined by how organized and how good you are in planning. That will also determine your income, and that will determine how much you are able to earn in the future. So it's not nisful kasb, but our Imam says it is al-kasb kullu. Your planning will reduce your waste, and your planning will also make you able to earn a higher income. It's entirely about iqtisad and tadbir. Be a good planner. And then the Imam says, وَمِنَ الدِّينِ التَّدْبِيرُ فِي الْمَعِيشَةِ. Part of religion, part of deen, part of what Islam is to be a mudabbir, a planner, somebody who is able to budget and plan for your ma'isha. If everything is just a decision at the moment, then your deen is incomplete. Sometimes people, they say that I am not able to afford, for example, going for Hajj or for ziyarah or for Umrah. Or they may think they are not able to afford helping out a relative in need or contributing to their masjid or a local community organization. Some people may feel like they are not able to afford the extra expense of ensuring wholesome food or halal food if there is an extra expense. And in many cases, if you look, those are people who do not have a good plan for their expenses. Maybe they don't have a plan at all, or if they have a plan, that plan is not determined based on the values and the priorities that we get from Islam. And both of those are important steps that we need to take in our life. If I don't have a plan, then I need to start planning. Then when I start to plan, I shouldn't just be asking the question, what is important to me? What brings happiness to me? How many times a week do I need to eat out for my own happiness? How many times a week do I need to be able to get a coffee, or do I want to buy myself a new toy in order for me to be happy? Have a plan, but then measure that plan against the standards and the priorities that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. And if we do both of those things, then we will always find that we are able to afford those things that are important for us to develop and to move closer to Allah in our religion. I may not be able to go for ziyarah every year, but I will be able to plan and budget so that I am able to go for ziyarah of the ma'sumin periodically. I may not be able to help out my needy relatives and fellow believers as much as I may wish, but I will be able to give regular sadaqah and assistance if I plan for it and if I prioritize it. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So this teaching of i'tidal and iqtisad and being moderate and being a good planner. What are some of the effects and the benefits that have been taught from Ahlul Bayt? According to a hadith of Imam Ali al-Rida alayhi salam, he said, وَلِيَكُنْ نَفَقَتُكَ عَلَى نَفْسِكَ وَعِيَالِكَ قَصْدًا. Take a standard of qasd or moderation and make that the standard of how you spend on yourself and how you spend on others. And the message the Imam is giving is don't spend purely based on what you can afford, but spend based on what is dignified and what is moderate. Sometimes we may have an unexpected gift. Maybe if a birthday has come, an end of the year bonus, which some of you who are working may have now planned for or may be receiving, a tax refund. If we are in school, maybe when we graduate from school or from college, friends and family, they may give us cash gifts. So if I have unexpected gifts, then all of a sudden I might say, all right, now I can go on my wish list and I can just buy certain things. And we spend it as soon as we receive it. In some cases, people spend it before they receive it because they know it's going to come in a few weeks or in a few months. The Imam says, وَلِيَكُنْ نَفَقَتُكَ عَلَى نَفْسِكَ وَعِيَالِكَ قَصْدًا. That's not how you should spend on yourself and on your family. Take a look and see what is appropriate, what is dignified. If you can't afford it, but it is appropriate, then make a plan so that you will be able to afford it, and if needed, maybe even borrow the money and then plan to pay off the debt. So you continue a dignified standard of living without going into excessive debt. And if you can afford much more, then don't get carried away. Spend what is needed, muqtasidan, in moderation, and use the rest in a worthy cause, because that is going to be your saving and your investment for your akhirah. And if you do that, according to a hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will be given additional risk. The Prophet is reported to have said, "Man iqtasada fi ma'ishatih razaqahu Allah, wa man badhara haramahu Allah." Those who are moderate, not those who are stingy, but those who are moderate in their budgeting and in their spending, razaqahu Allah. Allah will give them additional risk because they have shown themselves to be worthy caretakers. They have shown themselves to be good stewards of God's gift. وَمَنْ بَذَّرَ حَرَمَهُ اللَّهُ. If somebody squanders and is wasteful, then Allah will deprive that person, either by making them poor or by taking away the enjoyment and the blessing of what He has given them. And both of them are a form of deprivation. Either deprivation of the material blessing, or maybe you have a material blessing but you don't have anyone to share it with. You don't have the full benefit and enjoyment of it. And what benefit is an empty castle. So there is also deprivation even for people who may superficially seem to be very lucky and very wealthy. According to a hadith of Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu was-salam, he says, ضَمِنْتُ لِمَنْ اقْتَصَدْ أَلَّا يَفْتَقِرْ. I guarantee for a person who is moderate in their spending, who is a good planner, that they will not become poor because of their financial situation. So it is also a guarantee from the Imams that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will look out for you and bless you, and you will not suffer. Related to iqtisad is an attribute that comes from our religious teaching, mentioned in many, many ahadith. In one hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, he says, "La kanza aghna min al-qunu'." There is no riches and no treasure that is better than to be content. And in a consumer society, sometimes we are, without even realizing it, caught up in this idea that new is always good. And sometimes just because something is not new, we feel like it isn't fashionable, it isn't desirable, it should be replaced. The value system that we get from Islam is to be content, to be able to measure the value of things based on whether they are meeting the need that they are supposed to meet. If there is something new that is more efficient, that is more effective, that is more safe, then we should certainly change those things that are not as effective for us, not as safe for us, and purchase something that is new if we can afford it. But just because it's old or it doesn't look as fashionable, that is not a good attribute to have. We should be content, and we need to practice and develop contentment by deliberately thinking about our motivations for wanting something new. And one of the things that can help is to look at the character of Ahlul Bayt. When I have higher priorities in my mind, then it becomes easier for me to say, just getting a new toy is not the most important thing in the world, because I have something else that I'm trying to build or I'm trying to accomplish with my life. There is a hadith of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa He gives good tidings of reward in paradise for those who are content and those who live a simple life. The Prophet said, "Tuba liman hudiya lil Islam wa kana aishuhu kafafan wa qana'." Paradise is for those who are guided to Islam, whose life is dignified and simple, and who are content with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. May Allah grant all of us from His abundant rizq, and may He grant us a dignified life and a simple life, so that we focus on our values and our self-improvement rather than just on the improvement of our material circumstances. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. فَصَلِّ لِرَبِّكَ وَانْحَرْ إِنَّ شَانِئَكَ هُوَ الْأَبْتَرُ. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم محمد وعلى علي أمير المؤمنين وعلى فاطمة الزهراء وعلى الحسن والحسين وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن القائم المهدي صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين صلوات. I praise Allah for His bounties, and I seek forgiveness from Allah on my behalf and on behalf of all mu'mineen and mu'minat for my sins and shortcomings. May Allah guide us and protect us. One hadith in the second khutbah, which is narrated from our sixth Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. speaking to one of his companions, Humran ibn A'yan, prominent faqih and qari and teacher of the Quran. The Imam says, Ya Humran, unzur ila man huwa dunak, wa la tanzur ila man huwa fawqak fil maqtura. Humran, whenever you are thinking about the world, don't look at the lifestyles of the rich and famous. Look at those who are beneath you in their income, in their wealth. فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ أَقْنَعْ لَكَ بِمَا قُسِمَ لَكَ وَأَحْرَى أَن تَسْتَوْجِبَ الزِّيَادَةَ مِنْ رَبِّكَ. Because when you do that, that is going to make you more likely to be content and grateful. And when you are grateful, that is more likely to make you worthy of increased blessings from your Lord. When I look at those people who are beneath me economically, then I am motivated to be more careful in my own spending. I realize that I can make do with my car and my current clothing and my current phone. But when I look to those who are wealthy, then all of a sudden my own needs, they increase. And that makes me poorer. I might feel like by associating with them, I am also becoming wealthier. But true wealth comes, in the words of the Imams, from contentment and gratitude. And so look at those who are beneath you. Become more content, become more grateful to Allah, and that will give you ziyada from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which will be not just more increased material wealth, but blessings. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provide us those blessings, and may He give us the gift of contentment and gratitude rather than jealousy and discontent and all of those negative attributes associated with a material life. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. صلاة الجمعة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على